Have a special guest here tonight. Want to introduce yourself?
What's going on, world? It's your boy Brian Godwin, Media Kings in the building. What's up?
Hey, Media Kings. Pleasure to have you in the house with us tonight.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So we're gonna talk about some things tonight, right?
I like to talk.
So let's wait for a couple of more people to come in before we really get down to the nitty gritty.
No doubt, no doubt.
And people, as y'all are coming in, please share the live. So much going on during Black History Month.
Man, don't even get me started. Yeah, matter of fact, get me started. Get me started.
So much
fellas.
on. Like our people doing a lot this month.
Yeah, superstars doing a lot, which is to be expected. I mean, normal people doing a lot, which is sadly enough to say to be expected. A lot of us are starting to do a lot of finger pointing and not looking at ourselves, to better ourselves. We like to point fingers to look at the next person and say, hey, look how fucked up that person right there is. Yeah, we know they fucked up. Now tell us what's wrong with you. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Nothing's wrong. Yes, something's wrong with everybody. So what's your problem? Since you want to talk about people's problems, like I always tell people, because I'm definitely not the person to walk up to and be like, hey, you heard such and such. I'd be like, no, you tell me about you. I don't want you to talk about that person if they ain't here.
Right.
You want to do that, you do that shit on your time with your other whack ass friends that do that silly kid shit. But I don't do that. I don't know. I don't need your friendship, your help, your sympathy, or anything from you. Matter of fact, I just need you to stay the hell out my way.
Right.
You do me. But as far as people that do that, I know Black people definitely got to stop that because we all got a bad habit of that anyway.
Yeah. True.
Judging like, nigga, you ain't got nothing better to do with your time. Not a thing. You that fucking awesome that you can point out somebody else's problem?
Yeah.
The fuck in the corner somewhere with that silly shit. I never understood that. Then people look at me like when I speak, because y'all know me, I'll chew you out in front of a crowd. I don't care. But It's like, what you expect people to stand around and listen to this? This is feminine behavior. No disrespect to females, but that's what females do.
Yeah.
That's what we expect. I don't expect to be around a group of dudes and we discussing business and you be like, hey man, you heard about such and such. What nigga, what you about to talk about next? Getting your hair done? What else you gonna talk about? What you bought? What kind of clothes you wearing? That's something important to you? That's chick shit.
Shout out to Vonnie Vincent, Queen Vonnie V in the comments.
Oh!
Shout out to Yusef, who will be on the show next Monday night along with Menace.
What's going on, Yusef?
So yeah. All right. So since there's a couple of people in here, let's go ahead and jump into some current things that's going on because people have just been acting all types of ignorant this Black History Month.
What's new? Every year, same thing.
So let's start. Well, the latest that has happened, I see Tiger pulled out a gun for one at Floyd Mayweather's party. I don't know if he was beefing with Soulja Boy, because they have been beefing about Black China and all that other stuff. But my thing is, why is all this stuff going on during this particular month? Him, R. Kelly, like.
Well, I mean, let's take a long trip down back to the old days when Hollywood was first started. You got to look at like I tell people, you got to look at the foundation to understand the building.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Hollywood, you look at its premise, and you say, well, I mean, the things that's been going on in Hollywood, this has been happening for eons. This was before internet, back in the days when we were still working on ADATs and big ass cameras that needed 3 and 4 plugs and all that stuff like that. So, I mean, people, especially with us, and you got to look at the people who are in charge. It's kind of like I said with R. Kelly. I said, let's not only get him, you got to get the people that enable them too.
Right.
Because Hollywood's a crazy place.
Right.
Now, most people will say, well, what's the Hollywood dude? I'm out there. I seen it. It's crazy out there. And those people are disgusting. There's some nasty people that do nasty shit in Hollywood. I'll say it. Because at the end of the day, I ain't never finna be Hollywood anyway, so fuck them, quite frankly. But I mean, you know, you look at these people, man, and you think, you want to say, oh man, look how ignorant they acting. But you got to remember, these people never get fired.
Yeah.
Never.
Right.
Now, if your black ass decides to get a job somewhere, say you're working in a warehouse, and I get a job in the warehouse, and I walk past you one day, and I smack you and say, oh man, I hate you. Or I grab your tail or anything crazy, and I say, oh man, damn, you look good. Let me grab that. You know, the first thing that's gonna happen is I'm gonna get fired.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna go to jail, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what? Sexual harassment. Now, you put this in Hollywood. Now you're dealing with a different playing field, different level of money, different lifestyle, different group of people, different mentality.
Yep.
You do the same thing, but people talk about it, but nothing ever happens.
Right.
Take R. Kelly, for example. And let's not even just start with him. Let's start with the Weinstein dude. I'm going to do it like that. Let's start with that. And to start, line them all up, cuz that's right. Catholic Church. Thank you, Yusuf, because they the worst ones. Even the comedians joke about that one. Catholic Church, fuck your son. Black Church, fuck your wife. But now that's even up in the air because of people like Eddie Long and them. So, but you know, you got to remember, it's kind of like I seen a comedian that cracked a joke one day about Michael Jackson. They said, you know, it's amazing whenever the government doing something screwed up or messed up, Michael Jackson just magically pops up with some crazy Neverland type nonsense going on. And like I told people, even with the Jesse Smollett situation, just like I put up the post today, I said, did y'all see all them laws that they passed for the cops and stuff like that while y'all was talking about Jesse Smollett? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I suggest you start Googling up some stuff. I know you're online, you Google. You can look at some of the laws that they passed whenever you start noticing that celebrities are doing crazy things. And now the craziest part about it is now you got another celebrity in the White House. But see, he's not a political celebrity. He's just a celebrity.
Right.
And not a smart one on top of that. So you got these celebrities, they keep the people busy looking, saying, hey, look, the president's being a jackass. He's being a racist. Everybody turn this way. And they over there writing bills. And then the funny part is they going to tell you about the bills, but most people so concerned with the celebrities, you don't focus on the government, the people that you paying out your tax dollars to do the job for you. But you get mad at somebody when they talk about R. Kelly's perverted ass or any of these white producers, nasty asses, and there's a bunch of them, damn near all of them. The child sex trafficking rings is going on amongst the elite.
Yeah.
And we ain't fit to get into some of the other stuff. That's just the light stuff that I'm pretty sure you can deal with. You can see shit like this in the mansion party, dog. So it's crazy. Now, when you look at the amount of money they make, you begin to understand why Tigger shot up dumbass Mayweather's shit. There you go. We do need to move from America, or we need to do what's best, whip some ass, fix the situation, and take what we built anyway. We can't do that. We are the indigenous. The indigenous do outnumber the caucus, and that's just natural fact. Most of these countries on this planet are indigenous. Like I tell a lot of them racists online, the Moors should have beheaded you motherfuckers instead of teaching you to wash your ass in math. They should have taught you to jump off a cliff. But with that being said, you know, it goes back to, like I said, with Tigger, and you look at people like Mayweather, they support Gucci. And I mean, even now, Mayweather, I'll say this, he might not be a smart motherfucker who can read the ABC book, but he made a good point. He called out some facts. Some ugly facts.
Did he call out facts or?
Yeah, he called. Well, whoever wrote that shit called it out. But I think he did say that because even though he's a dumb motherfucker who can't read a damn kindergarten book, I know he got enough sense. He cleared 700 million, so he ain't dumb as people think he is. He can't read, but he can hire your ass to read. Right. I tell people, don't use that he can't read shit for a joke because I know niggas with college degrees is flipping burgers. So yeah. That in the end of the day, none of that shit's irrelevant. What's going on with Cam? Peace. But yeah, you know, you look at the amount of money they make, and it's like you begin to understand why they do what they do. Because you get paid to do that stuff. Every time now, we're dealing with a society of people, they no longer care about politics or anything that can affect them directly. We care about indirect effectment and entertainment. Now, why people care about entertainment that much is fucking beyond me. I don't know. There's not a superstar that's worth me looking over. It's making me looking over how much I'm being jacked for by the people I'm paying to make sure I live a certain type of life that I want to live and do it respectfully, fairly like everybody else. But for some reason, it's not just today's generation. I'm not even fit to throw you guys under the bus like that, because at the end of the day, y'all learn from our generation. Generation X. And we learned from the disco generation. The motherfuckers walk around with cocaine around their necks, which is funny. And when you could bring up Bill Cosby. Now, people talking about Bill Cosby, but like I told him, I said at the end of the day, I said Bill Cosby in jail for a suggestion in a time where your parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and all was walking around with cocaine around their necks.
Yeah.
He offered somebody some downers. And in the case, the people who got him locked up, they came out and said they lied. But guess why he's in there in the first place? Because he called NBC out because he knew they was broke and he wanted to buy them with them nigga dollars, and they won't fit to have that. Yeah, the industry real dirty like that. Real dirty like that. I just put it on out there. So, I mean, you look at these things, man, and I tell people, I say, y'all, you look at the amount of money they make. When you look at the sports people. It's like you figure, how can a guy who plays basketball, exactly, he was about to buy NBC up, and they bust him in the head.
Right.
And the bad part is we now know it, but instead of people retracting and saying, hey, well, you need to get this man out of jail, you destroyed his legacy.
Right.
I mean, it ain't my problem. Motherfucker, it is your problem.
Instead, we too busy getting R. Kelly out of damn prison. Shit.
Yeah, but they free R. Kelly perv ass. Exactly. That's crazy.
Right. We
left the man who built it up for the culture, and then stuck by the bullshit that they told you. Then use your own victimization to rationalize it. And when they got called out on it, you didn't have the common decency to say, hey, we need to get this man out. We're destroying his life.
Right.
Now, will I say he's completely innocent? No, I won't. Nah. Been in Hollywood too many times. Ain't never seen any innocent people out there. Not one. Not one. But he should not have to suffer and be in prison for something he did not do.
Right. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Like, he wasn't back in the day, back at that time frame, I'm pretty sure he was the pill man. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure he was their own pill people. Yeah, because Hollywood ain't full of nothing but drugs anyway.
Right. He was getting fucked up. The real question is, why y'all grown ass women going to a damn hotel room with a married man in the first place? Y'all knew what time it was when y'all was going there. Y'all wanted to put it pop all the way up in that ass. Okay.
He was the Jello pudding man. Of course, you want to sleep with the Jello pudding man. You get Jello pudding for life.
Okay. God knows somebody was trying to be on that Cosby show at some point in time. That's why your ass
somebody wanted to take Lisa Bonet place. That was working for it.
Right.
Like I told him, I said, do I doubt he did that? No, I don't. But them ugly trailer park ass looking bras they pulled out on that stage with all them beautiful ass black queens that was built like stallions up there. You trying to tell me he left a set full of rich, fine women to dig through the trailer park to go find a jump off? You could have hired a jump off with that Jello pudding money, that Fat Albert money, that Bill Cosby money, that Green Lantern money, that Brown Hornet money, all that stuff.
I cannot.
Anyway, back on topic, you know, it goes back to what I was saying with Tigger pulling the gun out on the dummy. I mean, Mayweather. My bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, they get paid for this. Look at the press. You go to jail, you pay what? $20,000 cash bond to get out from a pistol charge?
Yeah. I mean,
he blow that in the strip club. Hell, I seen people like that spend that on cocaine in one night.
I mean, people like that, like put it like this: people like Cosby, if he's guilty of anything, it's putting himself in that situation
Yeah.
for
Oh
this
yeah.
type of shit to happen. You know what
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
He running with that crowd though. See, that's the thing about that crowd. And I always tell people, I say, have an understanding of what you're getting involved with. Because a lot of people think that, hey, you get out and say you got talent. First of all, talent ain't got nothing to do with you making it nowhere. Because if they don't like you, I don't care if you talented. I don't care if you got a shitload of money. Your ass ain't going nowhere because the people that control it got to fuck with you in order for you to get there.
Right.
The
I want to
internet.
touch on this comment right here. Bobby Vincent said, "Facts. Just like the chick's worth, R. Kelly, you're not in the right mind, but you went to an after party in a hotel."
Bingo. And he telling the truth. He telling the truth. Already knowing what this man was doing anyway. And that's why I said get the parents too. Don't let them slide, because one, they got 2 or 3 of them lying. Then they pull a picture out. Then it's like, no, ain't no abba. You sold
Not
your
just
truth.
the parents though, but I feel like the uncle. Let's go all the way back to the 90s.
Yeah, all of them.
Get Aaliyah uncle first, because he introduced all this bullshit. If it weren't for him, none of this shit would have even came out, even though there was a girl before Aaliyah, but still. Get her, who was his wife at the time? What was it? Gladys Knight, get her, because he was married to her at the time. So I'm pretty sure she fucking know. Get her ass to midnight smoking train to damn prison. Okay,
Yep.
they all damn knew.
But like I said, I want to get all around. I want to get the whole spectrum, because what's happening is blacks are being called out. But that's it. Whites get called out, but whites don't do time. Asians get called out, they go to jail. Yeah. Mexicans get called out, they go to jail. Yeah. I ain't saying pick on white folks, but everybody need to go to jail.
Right. It needs to be.
But see, that won't happen, because if everybody goes to jail, Hollywood shuts down.
Of course. Hollywood
shuts all the way down.
If they doing a witch hunt on R. Kelly, y'all need to do a witch hunt for Dan Schneider ass.
But it wouldn't be a witch hunt.
And if y'all don't know who Dan Schneider is, he backing for the older people. He was actually on a good ass show called Head of the Class. He was the fat, dark-haired guy back then. Okay, on Head of the Class. And then what happened was he transitioned over to Nickelodeon as one of the top executives there. He has produced shows such as Zoe 101. What's that show with Victorious? He's done a lot of #1 shows over there, period. And he was just recently let go not too long ago for some improper misconduct with one of the minors. They tried to secretly let him go, and they gave him a severance pay.
Of course they did, because they was in on it, because they was around with him when he was doing it, which makes them just as much liable. You know why they was around? Because they do it too.
Right.
All of them out there doing it. That's why that's why certain people can make it and some people don't.
All right, so let's get into this topic, because I see comments here. Let me go ahead and tap on some of these comments. Cam Mullen, he says, so yes, legalize weed all over. Yeah. Okay, Charles Boyd, he said, if you pay the mattress X amount of dollars, you can get locked up if a micron of spit hit the face of someone you argue with and be charged with simple assault. That's true. Vonnie Vincent said, hell, Tina Turner was young when Ike snatched her up. Very true.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's all throughout the history of Hollywood. When you look at it, like I said, a lot of missing children come up around Hollywood missing.
Yeah, look at the two. Before we get into the topic, I just wanted to take note on what was the two boys, the two Corys, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. Remember them from back in the day? They did Stand By Me and all that other all them good 80s movies back in the day.
I remember
they had a reality show. Yeah, they had a reality show, and I think it was not Feldman. Corey Hyman is the one who committed suicide. But on the reality show, he was actually trying to get Feldman to come out on air and tell what the hell was going on with this casting couch and executives passing these little boys around and girls around and all that. And at the time, Feldman was really not with it. Okay. But that just goes to show
But
you
then he committed suicide, though, right?
Say that again.
But he committed suicide, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Just like the boy from Criss Cross committed suicide too.
Yeah.
Right.
But he was another one. A lot of those people, man, you look at Pimp C, a lot of people who do speak out against a lot of these atrocities that do go on. It's like I tell people, I say, you always see I make a comment when I mess with people. I say, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Because you can get it if you want it. Now, what you going to get out of what you want, I don't know. Because I ain't never going to cross that bridge. But I can promise you, I can guarantee you, you can get what you want out there. But you're going to pay for it. And you're going to pay dearly.
Right.
That's why I say it online. I tell a lot of people, I say, understand this when you get involved with entertainment. And I'm not a person speaking from a motherfucker looking at Google. I've been out here doing it for a long fucking time. We was traveling the world before the internet came out.
Mm-hmm.
So like I tell people, I say, just understand and think about this. For Hollywood and the entertainment industry to be such a winning career, you ever realize how strange it was how high the mortality rate is? And I'm gonna leave it on that. Let's get on this legalization of weed here. What I want to do, matter of fact, hold on. All right, I'm ready. Let's go.
So look, tonight's topic is legalizing weed to oppress people. Is it a positive or a negative thing? So I wanted to start off with, I was actually looking at a speech, rather, appearance that Dr. Umar Johnson had made recently in the Bronx. And one of the legends who have been on my show in the past, K-Born Rivers, who's actually part of the Classical 2 back in the day, he was there in attendance, and he did a live so we could all share in that knowledge. Mr. Johnson, he went on to say about the legalization of weed. This is what he said. He said, we already a lazy ass group of people who don't want to do anything to change our reality. So now you're going to allow me to sedate myself as much as I want, as long as I want, smoking away our problems instead of working away our problems, giving us a means of escapism. So with that being said, Brian, what did you feel about what Mr. Umar Johnson had to say there?
I agree with him, and I'm gonna tell you why. Now, first thing foremost, I'm not a person who's out to judge folks because I don't really give a damn what you do. I don't pay your bills, so that's your business. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as what he said, he has a good point. Now, generalizing the whole populace like that, nah. Most blacks I know are great people, great functioning people. They work. Most don't even smoke. So, you don't want to give people the conception that all of us are getting high and getting drunk, because all of us aren't. A lot of my friends don't smoke. They don't party. They don't do any of that. Now, for all of us who do, me being part of that group, all right, y'all. I seen you, bro, doobie head myself. Now, with that being said, I take care of my stuff. Mm-hmm. I work. I bust my ass. I pay my bills. I take care of my family. What up, Shadow? I take care of my family. And I have my little extra over, and that's what I like to do. Now, the only reason that I agree with him on the aspect of the lazy person is because we do have some lazy motherfuckers around us. Mm-hmm. We have some people who don't have any drive. We have people who are on the system. Is it a lot of us? No. But the number is pretty healthy. More healthy than I'm happy to mention about. I know we all know this. We all have these friends. Not saying we're any better than them. Not saying we're any worse than them. I'm just saying that we got some people that we know who get fucked up all day and they won't get up off their ass. We know these people. I know I do. Hell, right. I used to be one of them people. So I know I can sit here and say this. Maybe if I'd have got up off my ass and stopped smoking back then and partying all the time, I might have got a lot better, a lot faster. Who's to say? But what my point is saying is that if I got to finance you sitting around getting fucked up via social services or any types of shit like that, where my tax dollars go to you getting fucked up and sitting around partying all fucking day while me, you, and whoever's watching is out here busting our ass out here at work, man, fuck you. No. No, you don't need any fucking weed. You are the lazy motherfucker he's pointing out. Now, if you take care of your shit, I don't give a damn what you do. Hey, you can walk around with a heroin needle in your arm, popping pills and drinking goddamn 3-4 types of liquor and call it a liquid bomb for all I give a damn. That's your business. You take care of your shit, but we talking about the lazy motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what he was talking about, I'm not generalizing everybody because, like I said, there are a lot of hard-working people. I'm one of them. I'm sure you are too. But there are some lazy motherfuckers that we do know that we do not need to legalize for, or we can legalize for us or build some kind of barrier where they're not getting involved with shit that we have to finance.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the street and buy your shit, I don't care about that. As long as the $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 ain't coming out of my pocket. If it gotta come out of my pocket, go feed some kids, go feed some old people, help some sick people, help some crippled people. Don't help the fat, lazy, raggedy motherfucker sitting in the house eating snacks, playing video games all day with no fucking drive, no motivation, not shit. No, we don't want to help them motherfuckers. I want to help them out the door. Then maybe if they hit the ground and crack their jaw open in their face, they might realize their reality is not playing with them, and they get up off their ass and join some kind of progressive movement to where they can get themselves together. Thank what up with you, KP? Yes, sir. Hard-working people. That's who we look out for. Smart motherfuckers who think they smart to sitting around and ain't got a pot to piss in, but you can still get a fucking check. Nah, yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. I said it. I tell you on the computer, I tell you to your face. All my friends will tell you, I'll email you that shit, and I email you a video and put it on TV too. So as far as you lazy motherfuckers, 100% I'm with Umar. Umar hits a lot of topics. I don't agree with everything the brother says, but he does make a lot of great valid points, and there are some ugly truths that we do need to come to terms with in order to fix our situation. Because none of us are perfect, y'all. A lot of us are fucked up, and we keep turning blind eyes thinking that this shit gonna disappear. You can't pray this shit away. You can't march this shit away. You can't drink, smoke, party, talk, and ignore this shit away. We gotta fix this stuff. If we really gonna get our shit together, we gotta fix it.
Let me get some of these comments right here. Charles Boyd had said bullshit has never been marked by the DEA as a controlled substance. Cam Mullen says, I own 2 businesses and bust my ass and self-made. I'm gonna smoke my weed whether they legalize it or not.
And you know what, Cam? You should, because like you just said, you own 2 businesses and you bust your ass. So, and I'll blaze one with you, brother. Matter of fact, this one's for you here.
Now, I do have a question regarding that, what he said.
Yep.
You know, let's just say they do legalize it here in the state of North Carolina, where we are at right now, which is a Bible state, by the way. Do you think it's going to benefit the economic salvation here?
Of course. And anywhere that they open the market up, I mean, you figure that chronic is one of North Carolina's cash crops. Now, North Carolina used to be a tobacco state. Even when it was a tobacco state, marijuana had a higher percentage of sales than tobacco ever did. Now, every person you've seen here had a fucking cigarette when I was growing up. Everybody fucking smoked. It was cigarettes anywhere, man. You could see fucking cigarettes raining out the sky. And still, even then, more people smoke weed than cigarettes.
Yeah.
Marijuana is one of North Carolina's highest cash crops. They know that because they've been busting everybody, putting people on probation, and getting all these crazy amounts from just busting people. Now, this is just from the stuff that they've collected that we've blazed on. So they sitting back like, I wonder how many people out here really do get fucked up. So if you legalize it, stone of life. That's right, Luck. But now you sit back and you think about it and say, well, if we legalize it, we figure out how to tax it, because that was the whole issue why they never legalized it in the first place. One, they were making too much money in the criminal justice system, and it helped keep those private prisons running. Yeah, I know too. And yeah, you're right, Cam. It does take people off those opioids and other crazy chemically made drugs. Because, and see, that's the funny thing about it. You say, you look at a lot of these people, they bust for weed, but yet you'll go to the doctor and get prescribed medicine that's going to give you worse side effects than what it's fixing.
I will say this, when he was mentioning, when he was actually talking about this in his speech, he was actually kind of saying that it was bad for them to legalize it for African Americans, not just, because the reason is because, white people, and this is not nothing against y'all, but, you don't really see too many white people being arrested for weed charges. It's more African Americans than it is Caucasians. So, I think that's where he was coming from with this whole perspective that we should not legalize it, because what are we as a people going to gain from it?
Well, I mean, one thing that you can gain from it is economic ground if they level the playing field and allow everybody else to flourish with them. It's kind of like what they're doing with the alcohol thing. If they get rid of the monopoly and they allow privatized people to come in and invest in themselves and open up their own dispensaries, it's an economic boom. There's nowhere in this country where marijuana was legalized where they did not have an economic boom within 6 months of the first dispensary opening. Nowhere. And that's on paper. You can look that up. That's public record. Now, it can benefit us in a lot of ways. Now you begin to be able to weed out the fucked up cop. You know why? Because now you can't use weed as a probable cause and reason to search niggas in the first place. So that's another thing. You could say, hey, they're smoking, but if it's legal, there's nothing you can do about it. That doesn't give probable cause. That's like saying if you come to my car, you see me smoking a cigarette and smell like tobacco, you get to run and check my car for cocaine. You can't do that.
Right.
You're not supposed to. But then again, that goes back to holding those you put in place liable for what they do for you. Now, so that's already 2 or 3 different good reasons right there. And then it always goes back to the economic. Now,
so let me ask this question right here. Hold on 1 second. So do you think that legalizing weed should come with reparations for African Americans?
Yes, it should. It should come with reparations for anybody who's been incarcerated for it, because this is nonsense and the reason they've been locking people up in the first place. I think we should be first in line solely for the fact that the system has been targeted and us. It's been proven too many times, and it's on. You owe us that. If you let everybody else off, but you constantly hanging us, you let one person out who's been wrongfully convicted they've been locked up for 35 years of their life, and you get them $1 million check, that's a slap in the face. What if they could have been the next CEO? What if they could have ran their own chain of McDonald's? But the system is so screwed up, and I can understand why certain people want the system to stay the way it is, because it's a benefit. Now, does everybody benefit from that? That's white? No, they don't. Because even with white, you look at white privilege, it's not for every white. Mm-hmm. It's for certain whites. So it boils back to classism at the end of the day. Classism is your issue. That's why I even tell racists that. Classism is your issue. People coming here has never been your issue. That's right, KP. Historically, it's been proven. That's why, and it goes back to like I was talking about with Tigger and them, why they make so much money. Because if you paying them attention, you ain't paying nobody attention who robbing you blind, are you? Mm-hmm. Back in the days when the king had the kingdom and the people got restless because they got tired of starving for bread, he built them a big stadium and made people die and told them, hey, these people are the fault for your pain, so I'm going to make them suffer.
Oops, so wait, let's get this, not to cut you off, but let me get this whole big paragraph here.
Okay.
By Willie Phillips. He said, legal weed can definitely help the economy. Lazy people will fall far behind. It may not contribute to the crime rate, but it will create some vicious competition in the beginning. Fresh job market will emerge and provide income opportunities for many. The real issue for lazy people is whether or not they will take the chance to move forward once marijuana is profitable market for the state economy.
Good point.
What do you think? Yeah,
now,
he made that point.
I totally agree with him. The thing about that is, you made a good point right there, because the lazy people are going to fall behind anyway, so they are relevant. Mm-hmm. Now, by chance, a lazy person is sitting around and they're saying they're smoking their blunt for the 4,000th day of doing nothing, and one day it just clicks. Because some people are late bloomers, man. Everybody don't jump out the womb, being no hustler.
Right.
Sometimes you got to be put in dire situations, man. There's been some beast that's been born from dire situations, and maybe that might do it. Now, legalizing that might not put them in a dire situation, but it might make their situation a lot worse to the point where they have to make some kind of move in order to better themselves. But then again, like you said, they're lazy, so they're not going to better themselves anyway. Because if you've been doing it for so long, it's a very good chance you're probably not going to change. So really, they don't matter. They'll weed themselves off. They'll become the people that you paid $30 to cut your yard. So you need them around. You need cheap labor.
So will this affect unemployment? Like, is this going to take a lot of drug dealers who are on the street and have them opening their own businesses? Do y'all think?
Nah, well, I mean, if they get smart, you'll invest in yourself. Now, there are several different ways you can go about doing it, because I mean, you can, if you don't have the paperwork, because it's still a part of the system. They're still going to give you all types of regulatory paperwork for you to have to follow these rules. And there's going to be a lot of people that's not going to be able to deal with that for a long time, at least 10 to 15 years, just due to the way that the system is set up against your favor. So even though they want to allow you, even though you're allowed to smoke weed, now you're not going to be allowed to distribute or sell it or manufacture it, because you have these tie-ups and these legal issues that they feel like just won't be right for the look of the state, because you'll be sitting in that office and it's like, man, I did everything you wanted me to. Well, I agree with me and I like you, but it's just with the criminal record, it's nothing personal. We just don't think that you're the right fit for what we got going on, for the view. And it's always about the view. You look around, people say, it can't be about, yes, about the view. Everything you do is about the view, because people don't even pay talent attention anymore. And don't say you did, because if you didn't, half of these motherfuckers that come out now wouldn't be out. Poor quality music, poor quality life habits, picking up all types of crazy, unconducive attitudes just towards everything. And I mean, it shows. True. So I don't see drug dealers being able to problem. Now the smart ones will, the ones who got capital can, because money can get you around a lot of stuff. Because I don't care how fucked up the system is, the system loves money. They might not like you, but they'll take your money if you got any. Now if you ain't got none, God help you. I don't know what to tell you. You better find people with some, and you better run a hell of a talk game and have a one cheese eating smile. Because until they open it up because even if they open it up to where it be independent, which is what I'm hoping, where you can have independent, there you go. It's the perception of everything. And I mean, it's the red tape. There you go. What's going on, Tito? But I mean, I tell people,
what is this?
Ugliness of the politics, man. Yeah, but I mean, I'd love to see it legalized, but I'd like to. I wouldn't want the government to fund it to where we'd have to pay for it. I don't think it's fair to you. I don't think it's fair to me. So I mean, they need to legalize it. I don't give a damn if they do it not smoke anyway. But I'd rather for them to go ahead and legalize and make it easy for everybody to go get it. Now, will that mess up a lot of people on the street? Of course it will. Those who will be able to rebound, they're going to do so. Those who can't, they'll find ulterior ways to make money. I mean, a hustler's a hustler. If they can't sell that, they'll find something else to do.
Right.
Proven fact. So, yeah, they should legalize it, except for them lazy motherfuckers set up some kind of rule. Well, don't set up no kind of rule, but don't be the one giving it out, like welfare stamps or food stamps. Like, hey, I need some free weed. Nah, motherfucker, no. I don't want to. I refuse to pay for that.
He was also kind of stating that, was giving mixed messages. Like 1 minute, our people are being arrested for selling it, and the next minute someone is, taking that and building and opening and selling this product now that it used to be illegal. Now it's legal. Like, what kind of message is that sending?
Yeah, exactly. It's sending a clear message. We can do it, but you can't.
So also what was talked about was that, let's just say they do legalize it. It's not going to be equality for our people, meaning
no, the only way even, and this goes back to like I was just saying, though, you know, even with if they do legalize it and they open up independent manufacturing stores and stuff like that, you still have to go through them for regulatory measures. And see, that's what you want to get out of. But see, that goes back to, like I said, with us applying ourselves again. You know, a lot of us like to, and I always say, most of us like to look the part. We don't want to be the part. And it's harder to look the part than it is to be the part. And I mean, being the part is opening up, is investing in ourselves. And that's how you're able to get the money up to become the data researchers. Do you realize there's no black data researchers, no indigenous data research companies on the planet? On the planet.
Okay.
On the planet.
Charles Boyd said people still making moonshine. Liquor is legal. And
Yeah,
that's true. At one point in time, it was illegal to even do that. So
it still is. But I mean, you know,
yeah.
nevertheless, people are going to do what they do, man. I mean, it depends. It goes back to like perception, your perception of the law. Is it important or is it not?
Vonnie Vincent asked, what makes people in Colorado better than us?
Nothing, because it's your government. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with the people. It's political level. And I mean, it's kind of like, you know, people don't understand. You got to understand how politics work. It's even like with voting. You know, I tell people, I say, yeah, you can scream, go vote, but you got to understand what's going on with the electoral college, the person who's representing you in your region. Now, if they don't like you, I don't give a damn if you vote or not. It really ain't gonna make no difference, because at the end of the day, the electoral college, which is put in front of you to represent you, your vote is only needed to be taken into consideration when they pick the president. Did you know that? You can look that one up. So whenever people scream, go vote, I ain't telling you not to, but understand what you're getting involved with. And make sure it's going to be best for you. You need to find a representative for you. But that's a 2020 thing.
Right.
Now back to what we were saying.
That's not saying that you shouldn't exercise that right either.
There you go. Exercise your right, but understand who's in your area and if you are holding them accountable. Because a lot of people, see, here's the issue with a lot of people, even with the voting thing, and it's going to spill into the weed thing too. See, we allow people to screw us constantly, and we never do a thing about it. People accountable. In some countries, like I tell people, they say, well, what are you supposed to do? You do just like the other countries do. You get a big angry mob and you go in the building, you kick everybody the fuck out. And you say, if you come back in here, we'll kill you.
Like, I'm glad you tapped on the actual voting thing, because a lot of people don't realize, like, start within your community, find out who your legislation is and all of that.
That's where your change begins at. In your community.
A lot of people don't even know who running what in their own town, in their own city, in their own neighborhood.
But the funny thing is, they don't know who's running their city, but they can tell you who the name of the dude that Justice Smollett hired to fake kick his ass.
Right. They not only can they tell you, they got screenshots and everything else.
The whole nine. And it's like, so tell me what your net worth is, or tell me what the physical return is for your city, your annual return.
Right.
Tell me the demographics for your city. You run a business, you're an artist, right? I tell a lot of people, I say the best and worst word you can learn in any business is the word demographics. And if I lost you, you already need to start the fuck over. You already need to start the fuck over and go learn definitions before you get involved in stuff like business. It's really, hey man, it is what it is. Now, with that being said, back to the weed thing, it goes with the weed thing, understanding the representatives in your area, those who are in control of the laws and the rules in your area. If you don't understand who's in control of the laws and the rules in your area, how can you make sure that you're holding people accountable that you put in place?
Right. Exactly.
Don't be scared to check the people that you pay. And a lot of people are, so we beat up each other. And that gotta stop. And if the weed thing opens up, it's going to be the same thing. You got to hold people accountable, because if you don't, you're not checking these people, they're going to run all over you. You'll check your homeboy in the street, check the people that you paying to take care of you in your life, your rules. Yeah, you can do that. Well, what happened if the police come? Get a bigger mob.
Let's get on this comment right here. Cam Mullen, he says Colorado was also in a lot of debt, far behind. So when the government sees a problem in population, they will come with a form of way to migrate others to a certain location. Now Colorado is straight, which is true. He's
Very true.
absolutely right.
Any state that they passed a law in where they legalized it or at least set up some kind of regulatory program flourishes because
Yeah,
that many people get high.
yeah.
Just like when you look at what El Chapo just told them people, ain't that funny? He already out of jail. He ain't even go. And he told me, he said, the problem ain't me. Y'all the biggest customers.
Yeah.
When you the biggest, what's the clap back for that?
Ain't none. Ain't no clapback.
Exactly. There ain't no clap back. We're the biggest customers of all drugs. The United States burn up more drugs than most countries consecutively. This is a high country where people don't know shit but the latest thing that's jumping online, the latest trend. Nobody even cares about what really benefits them anymore.
Yeah.
So the thing is, a lot of people who are, out here, I want to see stuff like that get legalized. I just don't want people being able to indulge on my dollar. So that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I'll leave that up to the oppressed people because they're going to get it anyway.
Let's get some of these comments again. Sheba Fisher, she says, shout out to her for the Me and My show, by the way, out in Oklahoma. She says Colorado has a youth homeless rate out of this world. Let's see here. Cam Mullen, the whole world could be rich and do whatever we wanted, but it's full of greed and selfishness. That's what we have to focus on and fix.
That's good. Both made good points. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Colorado's homeless rate is, but
Vonnie Vincent said nobody even reads books anymore. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, I read them. I mean, that's not a lot of people don't. I will say that a lot of people don't read them anymore because you got this is the digital age. I mean, people they tried to wipe cursive out for crying out loud out of school.
Yeah.
So that
I'll say this: a lot of people may not read an actual physical book, but you got things such as the Nook. There's so many devices you can actually read. So to say that people are not reading anymore, I can't agree with that statement. There is a hell of a lot of people that still read. I know Barnes and Nobles is always fucking filled up with many of people that are reading in there every time I go in there. So, but the things they should be reading about now, I will say that now that we could talk
especially about online, because a lot of people, man, you see, and it's funny. I look at a lot of stuff that people talk about. I try not to get too deep on the online stuff, but you look at a lot of things that people choose to talk about. You figure out what every person deems important, and it's like, wow, and then you begin to look at the percentages themselves of the people who agree or who follow the same trend or the same path, and it's scary because a lot of people, man, is like this. A lot of people just priority wise, not saying more than people who do have their stuff together, because there are more people vast lot of more people do have their stuff together, but the number of people who don't and the number of people who just fuck off, the percentage is growing at a crazy rate. It's almost like it's cool to do nothing with yourself.
Okay, so let me get some of these comments again. Sheba Fisher, she said one of the reasons is due to youth moving there because of the legalization of marijuana. Antonio said ebooks are a clutch. Vonnie Vincent, she was speaking basically she didn't mean everyone. She was basically saying speaking on a technology wise.
Yeah, I know what you were saying. I understood what you were saying. Right. We understood you, cuz. We got you.
Yeah, we understood, but we wanted to clarify for people who did not understand.
Yes, because we know people read, but like we were saying, it's the type of things that a lot of people who use digital devices read. Or you can tell what they read by what they deem important because they talk about it. It's the personality. It's not saying them as a person, but it's saying personality-wise, this is what you call important. Like,
Right.
look at one person, they might talk about sex all day. That's what's important to them. Another person might talk about money. A lot of times
Right.
we talk about entertainment and music. Somebody else
Right.
might talk about quantum physics. I mean, you learn a lot about the conversation of a person by what you guys converse about. And
Right.
the fact is, when you look more and more, the stuff is becoming more trivial.
Mm-hmm.
None of this shit is important. I don't give a fuck about what kind of cereal you like.
So you
I
don't like
don't
that I like
give a damn
Cheerios?
about.
Is that what you're saying?
Uh,
So you
no, I'm
don't,
just saying, like, it's trivial. Like, it's trivial conversation. You know what
yeah,
I
you're
mean?
absolutely right though.
Yeah, we don't talk about anything that helps, that makes anything more conducive or helps the situation. We talk
Yeah.
about shit that don't matter, that ain't helping nothing. And when people do bring this is the bad part. And I mean, we've all seen it. When people do bring up talking about things like, let's fix this, let's talk about problems, let's do this, the first thing people do is shoot you down for it.
Not only do they
I,
shoot you
I don't want to
down,
talk about that. You need to.
right?
We
Not
all
only do
do.
they shoot you down, but they come outright disrespectful sometimes.
I don't care
They
about
so quick
yeah,
to push, like
yeah,
without
yeah.
even listening.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show whenever they do that, you already know what it's about anyway. If you don't
Yeah.
want to own up to your faults as an individual, because like I always say, I start off saying that all the time. Me, first and foremost, we all have faults. Nobody's perfect, and we all have some things that we can work on as an
Mhm.
individual and as a community.
Right.
Because if we didn't have anything to work on, this whole conversation wouldn't be going on right now. We'd all be sitting back in big 7-figure homes all around the world with some funny looking little maids and butlers and stuff,
Right.
fixing us food and shit, but it don't work that way.
Now I will say this. I'm not going to say the person's name, but there was an experience that I had where the person was basically talking about things in the community and what should be done and what he wasn't necessarily getting. And however, as you're saying this, you're smoking a blunt. Not at work. You mad at the world because of something you don't have personally. And my conversation, or my argument rather, was, well, what are you doing to get out of that situation?
Good question.
Like, stop blaming everybody. You can't blame everybody for a situation. Like, sometimes you got to take accountability of why you're in that situation in the first place.
No, I'm not wrong. I mean, you can't blame everybody. Nobody's going to care, and it ain't going to matter. So you
Right.
blame who you want to, but it ain't going to matter because you're there in the
Right.
house, getting high behind them same 4 dusty ass walls that you were sitting behind yesterday, and the day before that, and the day
Why
before
the walls got to be dusty though?
that. I mean, if you sitting in the house all day, I know you ain't cleaning the motherfucker. I mean, let's be real. I mean, let's be honest here. Like I said, it don't take a rocket scientist to look at a person and be like, I can see why you where you are.
I
One thing
can't.
my daddy used to tell me, I'm serious. One thing my daddy always told me, God rest his evil ass soul. He used to say, if you want to help a person, look at them and get an understanding of why they need help.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point, you decide if it's worth helping them or not. And I did that. I look at people because folks know me. I would give a hand out to some decent people if I see them, but I bump into all kinds of people. So it's like, well, I can understand why you where you're at. You should.
I want to get this comment right here real quick. Willie Phillips, he says legal weed seems a lot like career gaming. Yes, it provides outlets and opportunities for go-getters in the realm. However, it also gives couch potatoes a new dream to barely reach for and then complain they did not get it, which is exactly the situation I just spoke on.
Yeah, so I mean, those people, Shadow, at the end of the day, man, those people, they don't matter anyway. You let them talk, you shake your head, and you say, yeah, man, you're right. Word, man, that's crazy. Well, dog, I'm going to holler at you later on.
So wouldn't it be like if you look at it, it's kind of a double-edged sword because even if we legalize it, it's going to benefit a lot of good things. However, to the people like the one Willie just spoke upon, we're gonna have a bunch of those motherfuckers running around. I mean, who wants that?
I mean, they're around anyway. They just
True.
gonna come out in the open. That's all. It ain't gonna be no extra ones. They just gonna come out in the open because the rest of us have got shit to do. We got bills to pay. We don't have time to be sitting around, doing all that.
Right.
So it's not nobody. It's not going to be a surge in people who not doing anything. It's just like with alcohol and prohibition. People thought that everybody's going to be running around acting crazy. I mean, what's the most that weed people going to do? They're going to be sitting in Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's or Bojangles or Jack in the Box or wherever the hell you're at. I mean, they're going to eat up a bunch of snacks, laugh a
But what
lot.
about the medical aspect of weed?
Now, the medical aspect, yeah, good point, because we didn't even touch on that. And there's so many, good points about, the medical aspect. I mean, weed has a lot of health benefits. I'm not going to say it's like eating vegetables or anything, but I mean, there's nothing really bad about it if done within, measure. Never heard of any cases of anything negative about people who use weed or consume marijuana, regularly. Other than, you might gain a little weight, you're kind of happy and you sleep a lot. But other than that, the rest of us, we get up, we go to work, we come home, take care of our families, and, wake up tomorrow and do it all again. There's a lot of, like they say that, I don't know how true it is. They say that women who smoke weed when they're pregnant, their kids come out with a better reception as far as learning, getting an education. So I mean, there are a lot of things that people say. This the stuff y'all can look up. Don't quote me on none of this shit. I'm not fucking
Now,
doctor.
I do have a question because you said about women who are pregnant smoking weed. Now, with this being said, let's just say they do legalize it, because now there is a law, and it has been for a while. If you smoke while you're pregnant, they can take your baby from you as soon as you give birth.
Sure, I understand that,
With that being said, will that law still be in place when it's legalized? I mean, how would that work?
I mean, they don't do it to women who smoke cigarettes.
No, they don't.
And let's be real here. Cigarettes got a track record, boy, longer than the supremacy movement. So I mean, it's like, but then again, it's the irony of it. You look at the benefits. Yeah, good point. Cam just hit a good point talking about the health with the mental illness. It helps with a lot of people, with depression.
But also there's good benefits, so there's also a lot of negatives to it too.
Yeah, there's some negatives to it.
I mean, like long-term use of weed, smoking weed, like you can have anxiety issues after a while because you forget there is a strand of THC in that. Yeah. Like your memory is fucked up. Not only does your memory get fucked up at some point, but if you're trying to have kids down the road, that makes you impotent.
I mean, it depends on the person. I mean, I got 2 little babies. I'm over 40. So it's like, well, right. It's hard. And I mean, I'm a diehard stoner. People know I will blow through an onion quicker than you could run from the damn wild dog that broke through your house door. But I mean, it's the person. It's a lot of times, are the statistics true? I can't say they are. I can't say they aren't.
I mean, what about paranoia? What about depression? All of that has been medically linked to long-term use of smoking weed. So, I mean, my thing is, have we really looked at both sides here to say if we are legalizing it or not?
Yeah, true. I mean, well, I guess my thing when I look at, I can't say I've seen the other side because I don't know anybody who's went through depression because of smoking weed. But I mean, hell, I ain't never anxious. I ain't never depressed. I'm in pretty good fucking mood, and I think I can remember if somebody owed me some money, and I ain't no spring chicken either. So it's like, well, it's hard for me to sit here and say that, hey, this is true when I myself am a testament, and I'm talking to you. Hell, I'm blazed now. I'm not slurring. I'm not cutting a fool or anything. I don't forget anything, and I'm pretty sharp. So it's hard for me to sit here and say that. Now, does it happen? I'm sure it does. Now, how often it happens, I'm not one to say because I can't say I've honestly been around anybody, and I hang around a whole lot of people that blaze up. So, and none of them seem to have any issues. All all the productive ones anyway. Because like I said, I know some unproductive people too. But they were lazy before they started smoking. Far from what I've seen. When they ain't smoking, they lazy. When they smoking, they lazy. They don't change. So it's hard for me to back that up. I really can't, but I'm not going to sit here and denounce the fact that it doesn't happen because I'm pretty sure it does to some people. It just depends on your chemical makeup.
Right. Now, with that also being said, with it speaking as in if it's legal or not, how will this affect people working wise? Because, like I said, everybody is different to the drug. Everybody reacts differently to any type of drug taken. But let's just say, for example, it's legal. One of your employees is smoking. He's high as hell at work. Fucks up a situation. What's the rep? I mean, what can we do to that person?
Well, I mean, the same thing you do, like you do to them now. Let's be real here. Whether it's legal or not, hell, they high at work anyway. Where do you think these stats come from?
Yeah.
So that's not going to change the fact. I mean, people, people will go to work fucked up every day. A lot of people work dangerous equipment. They go there fucked up. I know people who can't work right unless they get fucked up. Hey, I used to be one of them people. I'd be a sorry motherfucker if I didn't smoke a blunt or two before I got in for it when I had a regular job. So I mean, it depends on the person. Now, are there those people who shouldn't smoke? Oh yes, Lord, yes. We've all seen them get hurt at work. We've all seen them get in accidents
Or passed out.
or pass out because dumb people just don't know when to stop. The smart people, they can hit where they know their limits. They can go to work. They work and they go home safely. They don't fuck up nobody's shit. Now, is everybody perfect? Do people get in fender benders and make mistakes and all that? Of course they do. But it's the dummies. It's the dummies who don't know when to quit. It's the dummies that make everybody ask these kind of questions like me and you asking right now, because these are the people who end up getting injured, and we have to worry about putting forth regulations to make sure we cover our tails for these idiots who don't know when to quit. You could have just hit a half a L. You took 2.5 to the head in 15 minutes. And you don't burn like that. Now you got to get on a forklift, and you're going to do it because you're already an idiot. You tried to do something you didn't know, so I already know you're going to try to push the limit. Now you knock over a whole rail with about $7 million worth of product.
Right. Now I do have a question as far because everybody's saying that it's going to be a great moneymaker in bringing it into the state and this and the third. However, with that being said, is this going to help with some of the issues that our education system has? Like a lot of our inner cities need new books or computers. Is that money going to be used towards some of that?
Well, that's something that you can't put with the weed because that goes to the individuals that you put in office in the first place. So the money itself that will be generated, yeah, it can do all that. You could shut the lottery down and let the weed just take over, and it take care of all the problems within 5 to 10 years. And that's the whole state infrastructure and everything. But the problem is the people who are in control of the money, and then you have to go down the paper trail. And if the paper trail isn't correct, we already know. It's just like with the lottery. They put the lottery in North Carolina, and hell, 25% down. The lottery was supposed to be for the infrastructure and schooling systems of North Carolina, and only 25% of the lottery actually goes there now. So, it's a paper trail. And it's being honest, with yourself and saying, hey, I'm looking at this person, they look good on paper, but are they doing what I hired them to do? And not one person can't do that. Everybody got to get up and do that.
Right.
You got to be serious and vigilant with it. You shouldn't be scared if the whole state behind you. I know it's some cowards and you don't want no trouble, and you use, regular life problems to say, well, I got to take care of the family and all that. Yeah, that's true. But guess what? That's part of taking care of your family, ain't it?
Right.
Make sure the leadership is doing what they're supposed to do. The money that you pay for that family that you want to take care of. Now you can take care of your family the correct way and hold people accountable that you put in place, or you can fake do it. or like I say, FB activists do it. Yeah, you activists online, but if somebody call you right now and say, hey man, can you help me feed these homeless people out here? Nah, dog, I'm busy. While you playing a video game.
Right.
So it's holding people accountable. And that's the issue with a lot of folks now. They don't want to do the dirty work or do the leg work. So you have to, and that's why I keep going back to the politics, because you have to fix that first before we can even enjoy or reap the benefits of the marijuana business.
Now, viewers, I just started a live poll to get, if y'all feel like it needs to be legalized, of course, hit yes. If no, hit no. So let's go ahead and get that poll started.
Somebody hit yes for me.
And y'all don't forget to please share the live, share. So we can get everybody's opinion, all walks of life. Because I mean, this affects all of us, not just African Americans, but we as a people. My question is, why are we so hung up on legalizing weed, and why are we not trying to get free education first?
Well, it goes back to priorities and what we were talking about earlier with people's main concerns and what they deemed important. A lot of people don't deem education important anymore because they're beginning to learn something about education. And it's one of those ugly facts I was talking about. When you look at education, you figure the irony of the education is that everybody pushes, hey, go get an education so you can be somebody. Do you realize most of the richest people on the planet were dropouts or never even went to school?
That's true.
Now, does education help you in a system of indoctrinated populace? Yes, it does. It teaches you how to follow the rules and do what you do. And then maybe, just maybe, if you use a little bit of those street smarts, you can move up the chain of the indoctrinated system. But most people, like I said, my uncle always say, either you got to hustle or you don't. And ain't no book can teach you that hustle.
So if we caught, clears cancer and all these other things, all these other ailments, with that being said, how will this affect having medical insurance? Will we still need it?
Well, I mean, the medical insurance itself is, you got to look at the medical system. The system itself, they're not willing to have that around because now they lose money. Mm-hmm. It's all a money game. We're looking at the positives and the negatives of marijuana sales and legalization from the consumer standpoint and the business standpoint. Now, when you look at it from the corporate standpoint or the elitist standpoint, now you remember now with North Carolina, one of North Carolina's biggest, remember the HB2 thing that was going on? Mm-hmm. Now with the HB2, and I'm gonna go back to that for one reason. When the HB2 thing was going on, everybody was like, yeah, man, they're going to overturn that law. I said, no, they ain't. I said, y'all underestimate the power of hate. And then people started talking about the amount of money that the state was losing. I said, you don't understand something. So you don't understand money. See, to you, $100 million is money. They lose a couple billion a day. Mm. A day. To you, 100 million is money. To them, they don't give a fuck if you take that, burn it, and put yourself in the fire too. And they basically told them people, they said this state runs off of certain things. One, it runs off the military. Two, runs off the pharmaceutical companies. Three, this is the banking capital of the East Coast next to New York. And four, this land was all farmland that they made tons of money off of, and those same people are still alive, and those are the ones who invested the money into the other things that you now have. So they basically told them, you can take your Negroes and your lesbians and your homosexuals and all of y'all technical gooky people, and you can pack up, you can get the hell out of here. We'll demolish everything you did and put back up farmland because we was making money for you came here anyway.
Let's get some of these comments real quick. Cam Mullen, he said, a somewhat neutral has to be found and made for everything to work. And every state is different, but in the end, it's all the same. Charles Boyd, he said, liquor and tobacco, security, meds, and money. William Phillips, he says that insurance companies will be hungry for addict numbers. Definitely a possible worry. They could easily capitalize on high risk users by labeling them liabilities instead of patients.
Mm.
What do you have to say about that?
Man. Well,
that was a good comment, by the way, Willie.
Yeah, it was. It goes back to like we were just saying, you know, it's the game itself, man. It's kind of like Cam said, we're gonna have to find a neutral point. But the problem with the neutral point is that you got to fix the system itself, man. The system itself, like I don't know how it is where you at, but here it's good old boy Rand. And they just not, you ain't just finna bust up in there and start demanding shit. They'll look at you and I just told you exactly what they gonna tell you because they don't give a damn about none of that. They don't care about the money laws because they lose billions a day. Now, once you fix the system, I'm all for the regulatory things and I'm all for, you know, I'm all for reparations and I'm just gonna tie all this in together. Because I mean, it's all going to have to happen at one big whop. I mean, reparations as far as, you know, the people being compensated for everybody that was locked up now.
Right.
Since this whole talk began, people who've suffered from it, a lot of us, and I know it's going to sound crazy now, if they want to, I'll say you can compensate all of us, you know, who have ever been locked up for it. But I'm going to be a reasonable person. I'm not going to call it fair, but I'm going to be reasonable and say a lot of us, if this is, you got charges 10 years older and you ain't did no significant time, you know, give you a small check and call it a fucking day. Hey, we're sorry. But that's what they're going to do anyway.
Right.
Now, as far as, you know, when you look at the officials and you start thinking about the governments and the systems themselves and the way everything's set up, and I can't stress that enough, y'all, that's what we're going to have to fix first. Because in order for anything that we want to work, the system got to be able to work in our favor. And I agree with what Cam Mullen is saying right now. The president needs to run every state. Now, we got to have a president that's going to do that. Yeah. And they're going to have to be fair. Because like I keep saying, we have to fix the system itself. Until we fix the system, don't really matter what we do. It's not going to work. Because those same people are going to jackleg it. They're going to throw it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, it always boils back to, no matter what, it's going to boil back to fixing the system and accountability. And once we start holding these people accountable, the ideas that we have are great. But we have to hold them accountable and we have to be vigilant about it, because if we're not, it's not going to work. You can't.
What about the crime rate? Do you think it will go up?
The crime rate will go down naturally because, you know, they're not locking people up for weed. And that's a lot of the charges that they trump up anyway. Little weed charges because they get the quick fines, the money. It helps finance the system. It finances the machine. So, you know, and it goes back to, like I said, with the law, the elitists, that's how they got it set up. So once you put these people in check and you put the right people in place, the ones who don't want to act right, you get them removed. Now you can start focusing on, you know, building these empires by manufacturing and packaging profit and pushing out and being able to profit off of this stuff. Because now you got a system in place that's going to help you other than hinder you. And the system right now, it does nothing but hinder. We got a lot of great ideas, but until we fix it, we got to nip this in the bud first. We got to. Once we nip that in the bud, then the ideas we have, we can put into play. But the system has to come first. And until we do that, you see how it's ran. That's like jumping off of a cliff that you know you ain't going to survive.
Right.
And there's no need to do that. We can fix it. We have to go ahead and take out the trash. It's dirty work, but it has to be done. The house needs to be cleaned. You clean the house, and then we can go put some people in that we know, because now they understand that we'll come in here and we'll throw you out, regardless of whatever the law you pass. We don't care about that. We follow the law of the land.
Cam said he's voting for you in 2020.
Hey, that'd be awesome. I'd be sure, I'd sure be glad, but they'll probably be on and whack me. They'll try to anyway. They'll be like, he was the most gangster president in history. You get niggas from the projects from everywhere. And I'm gonna pay them good too in cryptocurrency, straight from the UK, because I know the United States dollar is smaller than that, so they'd have to really jump out there.
So based on what you're saying, by legalizing this will help out a lot of our social economic issues that we're having right now, such as the crime rate. The
thing about the crime rate is you got to look at the police, and once again, it boils back to this, y'all. We got a real serious problem with the system.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say about crime rates whenever you got people out here that are one-siding, fighting crime. Then you got to look at the people who are fighting crime and look at the corruption in the police systems and FBI's and all that stuff like that, all the way up through district judges, supreme judges, up to your president. Now, it's hard to judge crime. Now, do I think that the weed crime rate will go down? It's going to knock a lot of percentages down. Of course it will, because they're not locking people up for petty stuff like weed anymore. So it'll go down in that sense. Will it stop other crimes? No. Will it push up things like robbery? It might at first, but that's when security and diligence comes into play. Once people realize you're not playing with them and you'll knock their ass down and the state is behind that, hey, you killed this man. What happened? He tried to rob me. Okay, good. Fuck him. You have a nice day. We'll clean up the mess. And treat it just like that. And then that's a deterrent right there alone, because like, hell, well, you can run in there, but if they clap you,
yeah.
They strapped in there. Any business is bringing in 500,000-600,000 or 100,000 a day. Oh, it's guns in the facility.
I want to get this comment right here. Charles Boyd, he said we can possibly reduce the hospital entries for seizures, etc., and related. They do not want to have any avalanche of early release patients. As Willie said, this affects insurance companies.
True that. Yeah, and that goes back to the elitists, insurance companies, they can't make money if you're not spending any. If you're not buying those pills that the hospital put out, they can't get those high payments. They can't get those high interest rates, and they can't get those kickbacks from those hospitals. So now you begin to take money away from the hospitals, which means there's going to be a job loss. And that means but then again, if the job loss is there and people are not needing to go to the hospital, there's no need for the hospital to be there. So now is weed going to save the world and stop, every ailment? No, it's not. But it does fix a lot of things, and there are far more positives than there are negatives. There are a couple of negatives. There are negatives with everything. Hell, there's negatives in eating cereal, but it's not going to stop anybody. But so I mean, the positives outweigh the negatives by just far. Like I tell people, there's not good in everything that's progressive, but nevertheless, it is a step forward. I mean, economically, for anybody's state, you could be able to, if everybody is being held accountable in your governments, if they're the right people in your governments and you're watching them and they do their due diligence, your state should be fine within a year or so. In about 5 years, you should have a surplus in your state. And that's just because any state with a toll booth, any state with a lottery, you can tell the corruption when you look at the amount of money that people spend versus what actually gets done in a region. Mm-hmm. And that's anybody's lottery, whether it's Mega Millions, whether it's, the jackpot, the NYC lottery, the education lottery here, Atlanta, LA, Colorado, wherever you at, Vegas. It's the same. You see millions and millions of dollars because we all stand behind these people every day in the stores, spending their hard-earned money before, during, and after lunch at these fucking machines. And they ain't spending $2 and $3 all the time. They end up spending $30, $40, $50, $60 a while.
Yeah.
That's why the machines always got their own registers.
So let me ask this. What being that we're getting ready to come up on elections pretty soon, which candidate do you think can, if let's just say if they legalize it, can take this law and move in a positive progression between Bernie and all the other candidates? Just your personal opinion.
My personal opinion, any of them can do it. I mean, hell, even the orange retard can do it. I mean, because he would probably be the one to do it, and I'm just going to say for the reason that he could see a major profit being turned as a way of him walking out of the White House. I mean, you look at a lot of things. I tell people, I say, when you look at wars and you look at reason for wars, a lot of times, you see people who profit a lot of money at war. You see regions who got certain types of resources during certain types of times, and the war itself is not about the people or whatever indiscretion they got with that country. It's usually about some kind of resource. And right now there's about to be one of those wars with the marijuana thing because of the amount of money that states like Colorado, DC is a state that's a neutral state where you can carry up to a quarter pound of marijuana, and it's totally fine. So, my fault. No, 2 ounces. Don't carry more than 2 ounces in the DC area. I don't want to have you out there fucked up. But North Carolina is talking about going up to a quarter pound.
Yeah.
So that'd be fucking, awesome.
Yeah.
If I can walk around with a quarter pound of diesel.
And thank you, Cam, for that compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's like, man, if people are responsible,
Yeah.
you take care of yourself. I don't think that robberies and stuff will go up because they don't have to rob you anymore. I mean, if that's all you got, if that's all you can carry on your person, there's no point to do that when you can go buy that yourself.
Yeah.
But then again, you do have those fun dummies who just like to do stupid shit for whatever reason, and all I can say is just send them to hell.
So, do you think that with this President Trump, let's just say it's legalized, right? Let's just say it's legalized tomorrow. Do you think that he could take us into positive progression, being while he's still the president?
He could, but like I tell people, the reason why he do it would just be solely for the money, which is expected. Like I tell people, I say, what do y'all expect from fucking dude? He's a scumbag, man. He's about making money and not paying motherfuckers. They're the same motherfucker that robbed thousands of vets, opening up a fake ass school. So I mean, this is you can't. The shock is not there. It's like, I can't believe you said it. Why the fuck? Shut up. Yeah, you can, because you know it too. It's about the money. It's the money game, and it goes back to, like I said before, you have to clean the house and fix everything to where it benefits you. Will he do it to where it benefits you? Maybe some. I can see him doing that because it's going to benefit him in the end. That means he becomes a permanent fixture into the marijuana industry. Now you become like Philip Morris and people like that. There's your endless income for a person who was damn near bankrupt and uncle who said he was a fucking buffoon. So I could see him getting involved in something like that. And then I could see black people actually, and I'm going to jump out there and say this shit, it'll be a whole bunch of black folks that will be fucking with him then. They'll be like, oh, this motherfucker wasn't too bad. And that's just, but it goes back like Paul was saying.
Right.
And it goes like I was saying earlier with these ugly truths. A lot of people, we jump on these trains and we begin to switch up. You don't stay consistent. You let certain things sway you. And it's like you look at the bigger picture and it's like, okay, so they legalized it. So now you can get high, but now what?
Right. I want to tap on this right quick. What Charles Boyd said. He said that should obesity be outlawed, they will not do it because it's a big business, but weed, legalize it. What's your thoughts on that?
Can what be outlawed?
Obesity.
Oh, man, you can't do that, dude. I mean, it'd be a healthier society. Yeah, I'm all for people being healthy,
But places like McDonald's and stuff like that would be out of business. All of that would be gone.
Yeah, now a lot of those places need to be closed down. It would help, but I mean, for me to sit here and tell somebody how big they gotta be, I don't have to agree with the size of a person, and I can see where he's going with it. I can understand why, but you know, that's one of those things where you know you got medical conditions now. Will there be people who abuse it? Of course there are. I mean, it's lazy people that just don't want to get up and be healthy. But then a lot of people, you know, it's self-love. They love themselves, and if that's what they're happy with, who am I to stop them? I got better things to focus on. Now, as far as you know, anything being outlawed, as far as body shaming, yeah, I'm not with that. I don't have to agree with a person's lifestyle. You know, you do what you like, as long as you're not being a detriment to anybody, you know, around you, primarily me or my family or, you know, friends or circle or stuff like that. So, yeah, I wouldn't say outlaw it, but I mean, you know, you definitely want to try to get people on the right path, you know, and definitely talk to them, but you don't want to badger people and make them feel like, you know, they're less of a person because of their shape or their size. You know, that's just as bad if I was to walk up to somebody and say, hey, you know, you're this or you're that, you're white or you're Asian or your eyes look funny or, you know, you got a big nose, you're really dark skinned, you know, or I'm like, you're really light skinned or something like, you know, you wouldn't like that. Nobody would like that. So I wouldn't want to go up to a person, you know, who might have some kind of health issue or some kind of whatever it may be, some kind of depression going on. People, you know, they lose weight, they gain weight. A lot of people depends on the person. You know, our bodies are different. So I try to avoid stuff like that because it's not my place to be pointing fingers at anybody. Hell, I'm a little chubby myself. So, you know, it's like, well, for me to point at somebody else, yeah, that would make me a superior asshole or not. I'm not that fucked up of a person. I can be fucked up, but not that fucked up.
So look, I want to thank you for being a guest, of course.
Yeah.
For two, I want you to go ahead and take this time and to go ahead and plug in every great thing that you are doing along with the Breakfast Club, Media Kings, all that.
Man, well, definitely got a shout out. See my people out there, man. What's going on? Cuz over Vonnie got one line in the building. What's going on? Shadow, my boy KP. That's my dog. Phenomenal. Got a lot of stuff, man. Television shows, depending on what cities you're in. I'm in a lot of major cities, New York, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, LA, Seattle. So I get around a lot. Open up a couple new studios, North Carolina, Georgia. So, you know, me and my friends were expanding pretty quick. You can check some of my pages out. Hip Hop for Breakfast, first and foremost. Serious Soul. It's my wife, Venus Fly. Love you, babe. And you got Media Kings page. Check out Media Kings with the Z. Check out Queen Vonnie V. What's going on, cuz? Love you. Tilly 2, my favorite artist in the world. Make sure you
shout out to Vonnie and Tilly. They were both on the show.
Exactly.
Actually, Vonnie is actually going to be coming up pretty soon on the episode, you guys. So y'all stay tuned for that. Shout out to the son of Sam up in the comments, One Body Enterprise.
One Body Entertainment. What's going on, fam?
Yeah. So yeah, I do want to ask you a couple of questions before I let you go.
Sure.
Let's just say, how does a person link up with you for an opportunity? Like whether it's an artist or just anybody trying to break into the business.
I'm a pretty easy person to catch up with. I mean, most people know me. Like I said, hit up one of the pages, and you know, I'm usually around on them. You can definitely check me out on my page, Brian Godwin. Brian Grinding presents. You can Google me, Brian Grinding. Brian with an I, Grindin. Just Google me, Instagram, LinkedIn. Definitely check out T2 on all major platforms. Tidal, Spotify. Make sure you cop them singles. She got banging singles out. I mean, so we got so much going on, man. Comedy shows, Psycho Ward. So we airing that around the country, man. It's a lot of stuff we got going on. Shadow Star got new projects coming out. I might even drop a verse or two. Y'all might even
what?
Yeah, you know, I messed around. I messed around a couple times, so you know.
Wait a minute, you about to drop a verse or
I
two?
might drop a verse or two. I just might.
So wait. So with that being said, can we get just a little sample, just a little something, just a little something. Just give us a little taste.
Let me see here. What I got. Let's see. What did I got? Okay. So let me spit a little something for the culture. I'm the kind of guy that go deranged and chop up a fucking vulture to the culture. We don't play around with the sound. You know I beat them down because I carry that pound. And that pound is them words and them verbs that I spit when I'm puffing on that herb, when I'm dropping all the shit with these hits and I'm straight from the click. And you know I'm that nigga that be spitting that crazy shit that make you sit back and say, damn, that nigga kind of sick. But then again, I'm going to leave it at that. Now, me and my friends, you know, we'll leave it at that. But then again, I might say something else, hit this thing, and then keep it at that. But I'm going to sip some of this yak. And next time I talk to y'all, and then believe me, I will be back. And I'll probably have me another exotic sack, hanging out with my friends, enjoying myself. And no matter where I'm at, it's guaranteed that I'm on the map. And that is that. Something for the culture.
Well, all the hell right. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute now. Where the hell that come from?
I don't know. I just said it. I got my
No,
friend.
I mean, I'm talking about this whole jumping on verses. When the hell did you become Jay-Z? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I wish I was. I need some of that money he got. But yeah, man, you know, I got stuff out. Check out the page of Hip Hop for Breakfast. Something for the culture, you know. It's all of us up there. Yo, tons of hip hop, man. Hip hop for number 4 breakfast. You know, we'll definitely put it in the comments for all y'all, man. And like I said, if you're in some of these cities, man, hit me up, man. Check us out because we're always looking for new talent. We're always looking for producers. We showcase people's music if we like it. We drop you on the platforms and we put you on TV. We're gonna charge you $1. We don't charge you a thing.
Yeah, because, so please go like their page because let me tell you something. They got awesome stuff on their shows, on their page. Yeah, man,
so check out the commercials, man. Like I said, check out Serious Soul, check out One Line and Friends, Psycho War, check out Media Kings, man, check out Brian Grinding Presents, check out, got working on a new documentary too, man. Fall of the Confederacy documentary. It's talking about the fall of the good old boy mentality in today's modern society. So make sure you follow that page too, man. We travel abroad. We go to all the big events where they're dropping flags, Charlottesville, you name it. We've been there, man. So we make sure we have our face in the place because I always preach frontline, so I can't preach it unless I'm doing it. So I'm out there and I like to show it to you. Make sure you check us out, man. Media King Show.
So let me ask you this also.
Yeah.
So with you being in the entertainment industry for a long time, who is the worst person that you have worked with?
Man, we're gonna. I mean, far as professional wise, I just can't rap, can't act.
Any kind of way you want to spin it.
I remember being in Atlanta. And they hated me in Atlanta. I didn't care, but they hated me because I'm an opinionated person, you know. So I'm sitting in the studio with who was these dudes, man? It was Waka. Who else was it? Titty Boy. And one of they people. And they came in. This was back in the day, but this is how funny, you know, life works. You know, it's like, because, you know, me, I just came in from Cali. And, you know, I was West Coast banging. So, you know, everything to me was West Coast at the time. And I popped up in Atlanta. And, you know, I met her because when I popped up in Atlanta, that's when the boom first started. We were running one of the largest underground facilities in the city, right down Anchor and Drive. And they came in. There was a few of them, man. It's like my homeboy was in there working with them, and they was like, "Yo, man, what you think about this shit, man?" And I looked at these motherfuckers, and I bust out laughing, and I just walked out. And some odd 5, 6 odd years later, I cut on BT and guess what I see? And it's like, boom. It's like, okay, well, as far as talent wise, you meet I could honestly say the wackest person I ever met would be a person who ain't got drive.
Okay.
Even skill wise, I don't like a lot of Atlanta artists now, but it ain't just them anymore. That shit started to spread up the coast. A lot of people in Carolina do that. Like me, I don't do the mumble shit. I don't do the trap stuff. There's no need to glorify that kind of stuff to me. So to me, that shit is garbage. Just off that simple fact alone. But some things you don't glorify. People talk about, you got to get a story of the streets. Nigga, the story of the streets been ran through 30,000 times.
Now, speaking of that, speaking of trap, because we had a little private conversation before the show started, and he had asked me a question about Tip.
Oh yeah.
I wanted him to address that.
Now, like me, like I said, we got some pretty cool platforms. We like to talk about stuff. And a video resurfaced of Tip T.I. doing a drug commercial. And basically, he was telling people need to rat motherfuckers out. And, so I talked to Jazz about it. And I said, well, because I asked her, of course. And I said, well, my take on it is pretty simple. I think that he might have been, this is my opinion, so I don't know if I'm right or wrong. This is just my opinion. I think he might have just got paid to do a commercial. Now, did he get in some trouble? Yes, he did. Do I think he should still be in jail? Yes, for a very long fucking time. Is he not? No, he's not. Now, from that point, pretty much I can't fuck with you as a person. I can't. But to each his own. Now, when I look at a person like him and I see what he's doing, help giving jobs, fighting back, at least bringing, you're bringing notice and attention to things in our community that need to be addressed. When I look at stuff like that, that doesn't make the situation what he did a good thing, but at least he's using that for a positive, turnaround to help his community. See, that's not a little different as far as what he did, but it's different as far as his character and what he's choosing to do with his newfound freedom. I still wouldn't rock with you myself, but I can respect who you are as a person and what you're doing now. That act itself, I'm not going to condemn you for. I don't know your situation. I just know how I would handle the situation. We're two different people.
Right.
But it's then you look at people like what's the little weird dude name with the colorful hair?
6ix9ine.
Who?
6ix9ine.
The one just snitched on everybody. Yeah, him.
Yeah,
and you look at the situation for him, they say, well, let's look at the other side of him. They said, well, his homie was banging this girl. They tried to kill him. They robbed him. And some other stuff. And I say, that's real. That's really that's really messed up. But with that being said, you jumped in that circle. This is the picture you painted. And it goes back to choices. Whenever you make the choice to get involved into this kind of stuff, you make the choice to accept and have to deal with the consequences of that circle. And I mean, that dude there is, whew, boy, he's a funny character. But I mean, as far as, you look at, that's a whole different spectrum from what Tip did. He basically got hemmed up in some shit that I don't know nothing about, so I'm not fit to get into all of that. But there was somebody told on some people and you free. So at least all I can say is, I can't say shit for you forever, brother, but at least you out here trying to fix some shit. So continue to fix some shit and continue to have not like you versus, because, but like I said, it doesn't matter what I think anyway, because I don't pay your bills. So
Right.
that's just my personal opinion on it. So,
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I mean that has also been a topic. I've seen that like on so many people's walls going across Facebook, and
yeah, you know what I mean? But like it goes back to like we were saying in the beginning, people are more concerned and they're more in tune with celebrities than they are, their own lives. And it's like,
right, right,
who the fuck is that interesting that you got to sink all your time into that you don't even know personally? But that's just my take on it. But I got shit to do. So who am I?
right. Last thing I want to talk about real quick though,
Mm-hmm.
these Oscars that took place last night. I want to give a round of applause to Regina, to Spike Lee, like all the brothers and sisters who won a damn Oscar last night. Like, good job. Good job.
Now,
Now, my question is though, what brought all of this on?
I
All of
mean,
a sudden,
it's the
Black
same agenda.
Panther, all of that stuff was winning last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's the agenda, man. They pushing the agenda. When you look at, what's going on, you had the guy who bust out there. It's the flamboyancy of it all. And a lot of people, are really getting tired of it. A lot of people, like we tell people, say, there's nothing wrong with your choices in life. You do what you do, but don't dare imply or push your lifestyle choices on me and force me to like it. Accepting it is one thing, but to back it and to like it is something totally different, because that means now I rationalize it. And a lot of people don't want to do that. That's one of Hollywood's back. That's going to be one of their downfalls in the end, because you're trying to sway a populace. You can't sway a populace. So in much respect to those people who won, but at the end of the day, just as well as I do, they all part of that same system. They've been part of that system. So a lot of them should have been getting rewarded a long time ago, because they've been suffering and sacrificing and busting their humps and did whatever they needed to do to get there. You
Now,
feel
what
me?
did you think about the guy that wore the tuxedo dress?
I'm not surprised. He's a drag queen.
Now, a lot of people didn't understand it, but he was actually paying tribute to a longtime drag queen who wore this a long time ago. So that was actually
Yeah,
what
I
he was
know.
doing, paying tribute. Um,
Yeah, but see, that's the issue. A lot of people are saying, it's not and it's a dirty subject, but let's just go and put it out there. A lot of the LGBTQ community, from what I've noticed, in my opinion,
mhm.
got real strong opinions about people who don't necessarily agree with their lifestyle. And like I tell a lot of people, I say, it's funny for a group of people who won't accept who you are as an individual. You want people to accept who you're trying to be. And I mean, that's primarily towards the transgender, transsexual community, because the regular gay community, from what I've noticed, because I can't say I know a ton about it, but what I see, are proud of who they are, and they accept who they are, and they don't push their ideas on anyone else. And they
Mhm.
don't care whether you accept it or not. They love them. Therefore, I can appreciate and respect a person like that. Now, when you go out here going to the extent of trying to chop off stuff and sew stuff on, and you look at me and say, hey, look at what I'm doing, and I look at you bust out laughing and say, all right, yeah, that's crazy, but okay. And you get offended, I'm supposed to be upset because you offended? You didn't like yourself enough the way you were. So you want me to join along your happy train and say, hey, you chopped your shit off. Congratulations. No, motherfucker, you got issues. Issues. I said it. Fuck issues. So it's like, and I tell people, I say, people don't have to like you. They don't have to accept you. They don't even have to acknowledge your existence. So you
Yeah.
learn to deal with it. And it's just like I tell them, and you can write that note to the whole community, sign black people, because we've been trying to make motherfuckers who hate us like us for years, and it ain't worked yet.
So, what is it safe to say that you are not for the law that they're trying to pass with the whole LGQB, history thing for school?
No, I'm not with that. That's not necessary. It holds no merit in schools. Now, being accepting of people is one thing, but hell, you won't even tell the whole black story. And we've given more to this country than any damn body.
You
No,
have a valid point there.
yeah, I'm not for that. That's priorities. Who you sleep with is your business, but I'm not pumping that in my kid's head because you want more perverts so you can feel better. No.
Mhm.
And I
I mean, you
said
do
it,
have
yeah.
a valid point.
Yeah,
With
now at the end of
I
the
just,
day,
me
and like
personally, I just don't get the point of it. But I don't know. I'm just not for that whole history thing in the
yeah, I don't see the
school.
history thing being of relevance that's going to help anybody achieve anything. Because at the
Right.
end of the day, like I tell people, as long as you accept who you are and people respect you as a person, that's all that's necessary. We don't need to be pushing these agendas to try to squeeze in a new normality.
Right.
And that's what's going on right now. And it's not right. People should speak on it. If that makes me the bad guy, fuck it, whatever. I wear that crown with pride and be
And
the worst
this is
bad guy you
not.
can think of. You
Let me
know?
just say this, and this is not against anybody in that community. I have a sister that is in that community, so that it's not against them. I'm just saying, as far as the history
Yeah,
aspect
yeah.
in the school goes,
I
I'm
got
not for it. I don't
we
believe
all,
that.
like I say, I ain't got no problem with anybody in the community. To each his own.
Right.
But my point is, I'm telling you the same way I tell a person who trying to make somebody like them. No, motherfucker, they don't like you. They ain't gotta like you. You're not gonna get special treatment from me because you're a little different from the next person or the next person. We're all different. Okay? Everybody's original. Everybody's their own person. You do what you like. You pay your own bills. Nobody can tell you what to do. It shouldn't matter what people think. That's the point. You seeking validation for whatever reason, but you shouldn't have to seek validation. Love yourself. It don't
Mhm.
matter what people think. And with that being said, that's my whole point. If you love yourself like you say you do, you wouldn't seek so much validation and rationalization from everybody else. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter what we think. You still got to walk in them shoes, not me, not you. So,
Very true.
like I tell people, love yourself first. Once you do that, ain't gonna matter what nobody say. I'll let you hear me.
Very true. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank you again, Brian, for being a lovely guest, always honest and colorful as always.
I try my best.
And everybody who is on the live tonight and got feedback, thank you so much for all your comments, your input, sharing the live. And again, please go and like the Media Kings page. Please follow Hip Hop for Breakfast, Queen Bonnie V. There's so many people in the comments that y'all need to just go and follow their shows. I'm gonna
Man,
try to
follow
put the link.
everybody up there, man. Shout out to everybody that's
Yeah,
commenting. Make sure you click on everybody page, man. I'm gonna go click on some people page because I ain't never heard of some of y'all. I'm gonna find out who you is because I
yeah,
like
yeah.
to
Matter
hear
of
from
fact, shout out to
people.
Cam too, out in South
Yeah, man,
Carolina.
reach out and
All of
speak.
that.
We not funny people, man. I speak to everybody. I ain't no better
Right.
than you. You ain't no better than me. It's all love, baby.
Right, right. So yeah, y'all check out them, and we will be back next Monday, same time, same place. Um, Next Monday's
Shout out
guest
to
is
you, damn
actually,
man. Take it easy, brother.
yeah, next Monday's guest is actually gonna be Menace OBs from Wu Tang Clan, and Yusef, who he was actually in the comments earlier. So it's gonna be an interesting night because we're gonna talk about that whole Jussie Smollett situation. So.
Oh yeah, I gotta see that.
Yeah, so, well, I'm Jazzy J, and this is Brian Goodwin from Media Kings. Something
Yo.
for the culture. Y'all have a good night.